A newly turned IFBB pro, ERIK MARKOV, recently tragically passed away. He is not the first, nor will he probably be the last bodybuilder in 2025 to pass away. Countless of bodybuilders in this year alone have passed, with often there being complications because of the sport. Now, we don't know the exact details regarding ERIK's death, so we can't say much about, what caused him to pass away, but I think a valid question to ask either way is, what the hell is going on in bodybuilding? How did we get here? Why are we getting here? In this video, I'm going to talk about why we desperately need to change bodybuilding and what we can do about it as a community, because there are actually things that you and I can do to change this sport. And it really needs to change if we want it to be healthy in any kind of way. Now, I found out about this passing due to an Instagram account, a Dutch Instagram account posting about it, and I replied to it and my comment got pinned, right? And something that was odd, or at least interesting to me, is that someone replied to it, yeah, but these bodybuilders, they choose for this themselves, right? And to me, that's a very flawed way of thinking about it. Yes, they choose to compete in this sport, right? And yes, there are definitely risks that come with abusing PEDs, which they tend to do. But it's not like every bodybuilder wants to abuse PEDs. If you want to get to the top of bodybuilding, or at least enhanced bodybuilding, right? If we're talking about that, you have to take steroids. There's no way around it. You literally gotta do it. And the thing is, many of these bodybuilders, they would probably take a lot less steroids if that was an actual thing that they could do. But the judging criteria does not allow for that. And that brings me to my first point that needs to change, which is those criteria. Because, okay, imagine this, right? You are a bodybuilder, you've already taken PEDs, right? So you've already taken that step. You want to get to the next level, right? And so you probably work your ass off, you take a lot of PEDs, you eat a lot, you train a lot, only for you to pose on stage and then have a judge saying, by the way, not to mention, you have to literally starve yourself to a point where you almost die. And then you have a judge telling you that, oh, first of all, you need to be leaner next time around. Oh yeah, you're nearly dying, but you need to be even a percentage body fat lower, right? And you also need to somehow be bigger. So what's the option that you have then? You may train harder and you definitely are going to diet harder, but of course you're going to up the doses of your PEDs, of your diuretics, of all that stuff, because it's already almost, well, it is humanly impossible as to how these IFBB pros get on stage, right? And then they literally have to do something even more impossible. So the only way that they're going to get there is to up the doses of everything that they're taking. And look, in my opinion, we cannot really blame these bodybuilders for doing what they do. They are kind of forced to do what they do. And I think the judges at least hold a bit of accountability in that, right? Because they do judge these competitors and they do say, no, you need to be even bigger, you need to be even leaner, you need to look even crazier, even freakier than you are right now, if you want to have a shot at winning this title. I don't want to put all of the blame on the judges, because that is not fair to them as well, because they are just doing their jobs. At the end of the day, it is the system that is doing this, right? It's the different organizations that want to get as much attention as they can from people. They want to get as many clicks. And so the competitors just become crazier and crazier and crazier. And this is evidenced by the fact that I remember seeing this. I'm going to see if I can put a picture up how men's physique has progressed over the years, right? I believe there was a picture from 10 years ago and then one from current day-ish. And that transformation was crazy. And you saw that obviously the men's physique guy went from someone that could look like that naturally to basically just a mini bodybuilder, right? And so we see these criteria being crazier and crazier and crazier, and they're increasing every year. And every year, this makes it so that bodybuilders are going to continue dying, and they're going to die even more and even more and even more. 2026 is going to be worse than 2025. And look, right now, you might be saying, you know what? I don't take PEDs. I don't give a shit. Your channel is about natural lifting, right? Why do you care about this? Fair enough. But guess what? These things also translate to natural bodybuilding, because these same judging criteria that are used for the guys on steroids are now used for natural bodybuilding. You gotta be even leaner, you gotta be even bigger, you gotta look even crazier, because guess what? Physique inflation in that sense really is a thing. you need to look crazier and crazier and crazier every year because new competitors are coming, etc., etc. And the judges, they become even stricter every single year. So this is not just a thing in enhanced bodybuilding. Natural bodybuilders are suffering because of this. And it sucks because I love bodybuilding. I'm not a fan of enhanced bodybuilding, I'll tell you that. I am against steroids. Like, I don't think anyone should take them. But I think that if people take them, they should, in a sense, be protected by the system that they are participating in. And especially the natties should be protected in this system. Because guess what? It breaks my heart that the fact that I love a sport that if I wanted to compete in, I would have to starve myself. I would have to become obsessed with the gym. I would have to do everything to optimize every single factor at my disposal. And I don't want to do that. I love bodybuilding, but I don't love it enough to be obsessed by it, to develop an eating disorder. Because a lot of these guys, let's just say, they develop behaviors that are similar to eating disorders. I myself have been there. Like, I've I've cut down way too low. I've developed all of these bad behaviors that I don't want to do that again. I want to participate in a sport that allows for what that was first and foremost made for health. That brings me to the second thing that we have to change. So the first thing was the judging criteria. The second thing are the standards. We need to go back to a time where bodybuilding was seen as something that was admired, not like a freak show. Even natural bodybuilding today is seen as a freak show. These guys are up on stage being way too lean. And trust me, I respect the hell out of natural bodybuilding. I have two friends that recently did a show. And man, I respect so much about their work and dedication. That aside though, I think he and I will both agree in saying that bodybuilding is not healthy. We need to go back to it at least being possible to be healthy again. Look back around 80 to 100 years ago. I'm talking about physiques like Steve Reeves, Reg Park, etc., etc. These guys reached like a pinnacle of the sport, but they still looked healthy while doing it. They were not at an extremely low body fat. They simply looked extremely muscular, but not too much. We need to go back to those standards. And unfortunately, there's only one way to kind of do that, because I don't think, per se, the judging criteria is going to change at all. So what we need to do is form our own. My biggest dream, and my big dream of this channel, is to set up a new bodybuilding show that focuses more on that old school aesthetic, or at least a more balanced, healthy approach to bodybuilding. If that sounds like something that, you know, resonates with you, then for sure make sure to like follow all of that stuff. Another thing that we can do is, in a sense, we need to boycott enhanced bodybuilding. If you're watching this, I hope you don't watch too much enhanced bodybuilding. I personally don't at all. And I think that's for the best, because the more attention is on that sport, the more money is going to be in there, and the more the athletes are incentivized to do even crazier stuff. And all of this just repeats in a cycle. So yeah, I know this video turned out to be a little bit more of a rant. I had it more structured out, but this is just what came out. If you enjoyed this and agree with me, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment. And if you watched until the end, please comment down below, make bodybuilding great again, because yeah, I'm definitely for that. Make sure to follow me on maybe Insta, TikTok. They're on the screen right now. See you later.